Welcome back, ARK players, to a brand new video. Now, I think we can all just take a deep breath. Last week was a very interesting week for ARK, because obviously the Astraeos Mega update did launch, and as much as Pyranthos is actually, for me personally, a really amazing addition to the game with so many cool new features, we can't hide from the fact that it was a bit bumpy, especially if you play on official servers, and it brought back many new save corruption issues and all of that kind of stuff. But now we're slowly coming out of that. We're getting a little bit more stability. I know we're not there yet, but we're going to be going through the new patch that Studio Wildcard just released for the game, and also we're going to be talking about a lot of other upcoming bits which is happening all within the space of like the next 1 to 2 months. All of this is meant to be happening before the launch of Gen 1, and it's all a bit like hopefully we won't go through the issues that we went through with that launch, because that was a little bit messy. So if you guys do enjoy today's video, as always, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. And I've been loving watching you guys have so much fun in the Astraeos Mega update over in the LoadedCrysis cluster. And as always, if you want somewhere to come and play and enjoy that update, the link is always available. Our Discord down below. The server's completely free to come and play on and come and meet your tribe. So let's get in with the news. Okay, so new patch, here we go from Savala. So this was a minor version for servers, which means you probably didn't need to download a patch, because I love a server-side update. They are the best thing ever, because if it's for clients, that's when you need to download a patch. And I know it's very frustrating for a lot of you guys, because some people, I always have to do it when you're patching files. If you're on Steam, you're like re-downloading the game again. So when it's for servers, it just does it behind the scenes in the game. So on Astraeos, they fixed the destruction of structures and teleporting players at 50-50 when loading into single player or starting up the server. Now, this 50-50 issue has been going on for so long in the world of ARK. I don't know why, but if there's someone out there that has the information as to why this always happens, and as to why Wildcard have never fully kicked this out of the game, I would love to know. But also they did a fix for a possible save corruption when restarting servers. Now, one of the things, this has improved massively. When the Astraeos Mega update did launch, there were a lot of save files that got corrupted, which is when that causes rollbacks, because when the corruptions happen, that file, there's nothing you can do about it. It's been fried. Goodbye to that file, so you have to go back to an older one. Very frustrating, but there doesn't seem to be as many since they've rolled out this patch. So I'm hoping this possible fix actually has worked, because I haven't seen anything yet. So also cleanup of Dino AI controllers as soon as controlled pawn is no longer valid, and they also fixed a crash using some mods. Now, if you play ARK Ascended, right, and you're using mods, like we use mods over in the LoadedCrysis cluster, there is always a chance for an issue. It can be the weirdest issue ever. You could open, so we use the AA mod. It's an amazing mod, but there can be times when you open up a vault or something like that, and it's invisible, or it looks like you've lost everything, when actually 9 times out of 10 you haven't lost it. You might have to uninstall the mod, reinstall it, or relog from the game, something like that. Mods can just get quite messy in ARK, and if you do use them, you do have to expect that at some point you may run into an issue, especially when a new patch goes live. We use TG stacking mod as well, and at this moment in time there is an issue with that regarding like shards and stuff, and because the patch was so big that it, there's always a chance it can break something, and then you have to wait for the mod creator to find the fix, and then they have to communicate that with Wildcard, and sometimes that comes to waiting for Wildcard to update the dev kit. So if you're waiting for things like that, 9 times out of 10 it won't be down to the mod creator. They'll be waiting for Wildcard to do something, and I know there needs to be an upcoming dev kit update, but I know they've just been extremely busy fixing the game. So if you are on official servers, you would have known that on Monday, Studio Wildcard have started a week-long Evo for you guys. It's kind of like a mini event to say sorry for all of the server issues that happened. So this will be running through until Monday the 9th. Monday the 9th of March, and this gives you guys a little bit of a boost. I know it's only ×2, just, you know, while you're waiting, you know, while you're because obviously there was a lot of rollbacks as well, so they're kind of giving you something to say thank you for all of that stuff there. So that's the patch, that's everything going on with the major crashes, and we're hoping to not see anything as crazy like this again, because it was a generally terrifying kind of moment, because I know, especially when people had loaded up and entire servers have wiped. I don't know whether it comes down to like the infrastructure or what it is, but it, you know, when it comes to ARK, there just seems to always be, when there's a major patch, just something that needs to go wrong, and I don't know what it is, but sometimes, and I always understand after a new patch, you know, there's going to be issues that you haven't seen, because, you know, no matter whether it goes through a certain QA, no one's ever going to catch everything compared to, like, you know, the hundreds of thousands of people that are going to play the actual update. So that's always, but it's the fact of just how big the issues tend to be, and corruptions and stuff, and I really hope to not see this again in 2026, because it wasn't nice. Right, a lot of you guys have been asking me, Dom, where is Survival of the Fittest by Studio Sirens? Now, great question. Someone has actually spotted on the CurseForge website that under Studio Sirens mods is now Survival of the Fittest. So it looks like, obviously, they have been working on the Survival of the Fittest game mode, you know, from what Wildcard have had before, while they're working on their version of Survival of the Fittest. Now, of course, it is slightly concerning that it is now the 4th of March, which, if you're going to be doing it in Q1, that's January to March, right? So, at this moment, we're in the last phase of when Survival of the Fittest can launch. So, are Studio Sirens going to follow in the footsteps of Studio Wildcard in the sense of delaying things, or are they going to be on track to actually launch this month? Because if they are, it's got to be coming within the next couple of weeks, and we're meant to be seeing it in a community crunch, but who knows? Let's see. And also, it needs to follow with the path of what's happening, because in April, not only that, in April we are meant to be getting the Unreal Engine 5.7 upgrade. Now, as a reminder of what's meant to be coming with the Unreal Engine 5.7 upgrade, they said performance remains a major focus for us this year, and a key part of the work is our upcoming Unreal Engine 5.7 upgrade, currently targeting April. Compared to its 2023 launch, ARK Survival Ascended runs currently roughly 40 to 50% better on the same hardware, the result of ongoing optimization and engine improvements. The move to Unreal Engine 5.7 is expected to push that further, with an additional 30 to 40% performance gain across both CPU and GPU. Much of this comes from the deeper engine level changes Epic has made with the recent Unreal Engine versions. Unreal Engine 5.6 introduced major improvements to how work is shared across the game thread, render thread, CPU and GPU, allowing systems to run far more efficiently in parallel. Unreal Engine 5.7 builds on that with new nanite-based foliage rendering system that significantly improves performance in large vegetation-heavy environments, which is especially relevant for ARK. You guys know that game. Our game is full of everything, and that's why it brings in so many issues. Internally, we're already seeing meaningful gains on existing maps without sacrificing visuals or memory. This is about as close as to the magic bullet, which we've talked about before, as performance work gets, and a rare case that it's an unalloyed win. There's still work to do before this release, including engine prep, testing and recooking mods to ensure everything continues to run smoothly, but this engine upgrade represents the most significant performance gain ASA will see this year, and something players should feel directly and dramatically want in their hands. And this also unlocks potentially ARK Survival Ascended onto the Nintendo Switch 2. So yeah, I mean, this is meant to be coming April. I did say to people, I was having a feeling that because Ragnarok came out June, and I think we're getting Genesis Part 1 June, I do think that it will follow in the same footsteps as Unreal Engine 5.5 came out in May, and then in June Ragnarok came out. So I think they might end up, that seems to be what they can work towards, right? And I feel like every year it's nice to see a company improve. So if they could get this out on time, that would be nice. But I do feel like sometimes Studio Wildcard gives themselves these targets and they tend to just follow suit in what they do every year. I will agree, like Jeremy said, things have got better in their release cycle. It's still, personally for me, not good enough with what, with the dates that they give. There's always delays, but yes, it has improved, because in the past it used to be months and months of delays. Right, if you didn't see this, Nekatus was like, oh no, because he actually made it officially on PCGamesN. They actually did an article on the situation with ARK modder issues statement after being called lazy and uncreative for reusing assets from an abandoned game. A famous modder of the open world sandbox RPG ARK Survival Ascended claims that being a level designer is why an update burrows from Atlas. So, after being labelled uncreative and cheap, popular ARK modder and head of mod development at Netrado, Nekatus, has issued a statement explaining why they use assets from another game in the latest update of the officially endorsed ARK Survival Ascended DLC Astraeos. Following the release of Pyranthos update to Nekatus ARK Survival Ascended's Astraeos map, the developer was called out by the community for reusing assets from Atlas, an early access open world pirate game from the ARK team that hasn't seen an update in over 2 years. The issue with the new Astraeos update revolves around the newly added Hydra boss, which bears a striking resemblance to the Hydra boss from Atlas, and in response to the pushback, Nekatus has put out a statement to talk about a topic which I have seen over and over again since the update dropped on February 25th. The mod developer says, I don't model, texturize, animate or code, and that being a level designer is the reason behind the decision to reuse assets instead of going through the process of making something entirely new. Reading that I am uncreative or that it's cheap to do that doesn't feel good, they add, before noting they probably would get less negative responses if had they instead opted to bring back basic creatures like the spider, gorilla and dragon from Atlas over to the Astraeos map instead. Atlas has some very nice creatures, I would like to see more of them in ARK, and I hope that more will come, Nekatus says. They've done it once and they'll do it again is how I'm choosing to read that, double down. And then following the statement, community members were quick to jump on Nekatus' defense, calling the reusing and repurposing of assets smart, not lazy, and explained there's nothing wrong with them coming into ARK following the quiet sunsetting of Atlas. Those dinos went extinct once and ARK brought them back. Why should the mobs of Atlas be left to die? Atlas launched back in 2018 as an early access title that struggled to find its stride despite launching to around 40,000 concurrent players at the peak of the holiday season. The game had almost lost 80% of those by March of the following year, and described by its publisher as one of the most ambitious online worlds at the time, and said to be an early access title for approximately 2 years. Atlas has yet to exit the Steam Early Access program, and its last update dropped May 30th, merely focused on resolving key issues. Now yeah, Atlas is dead and it's never going to come back, and the reason behind that is because, as you would have seen if you watched yesterday's video, Genesis Part 1 is pretty much going to be the new Atlas. You won't ever see that game come back, and you probably won't end up missing it in the end, because you're going to have pretty much exactly that within Genesis Part 1. And I'm personally on the side of Nekatus here, not him being another creator and me just saying, because if I didn't agree with it, I would be like, oh come on, this is useless, and or something like that. I personally think, yeah, as Nekatus, as he said, he's not, you can't expect him to, as a creator all on his own. He's not got a team behind him, to create brand new creatures. He's a level designer that creates maps, and he's always created the kind of the best ARK maps for us. Think about Fjorda, think about that. If he's gonna, I personally don't want to see the same island bosses on Astraeos. It's just for me, that's boring. I like how, there's an asset there, they can be like, oh, hey, let's use this, it's a dead game, and then, so it's either the choice of not having the stuff from Atlas or having the stuff from Atlas. And whilst I do agree to some point, ARK Survival Ascended is a massive game that should be always giving us something new and exciting, and they shouldn't be reusing stuff. When it comes to an Astraeos map that's been created by a modder, That for me, if it's done by Wildcard, then maybe that's a different scenario. And I know Wildcard work in the background, but this is Nekatus' project. And as you said, as we've said before, he is a modder who is not a dino expert or something like that. And maybe in the future for his upcoming maps, I'm sure he's not going to reuse assets for Atlantis, the underwater map, or anything like that. But for Astraeos to help finish it off, I personally don't think there was anything wrong with that. Anyway, guys, very soon we will be releasing the Kraken on Genesis Part 1, which, as I said, is planned to come late Q2 2026, which most likely will be June time. So yeah, let's see how it goes. The next couple of months are going to be very busy, and let's hope it's not going to be too crazy of a month. Well, like of a week we just had.